Happy 4th of July, all you Yankee sons of bitches. What better way to celebrate the day than a couple of paranoid conspiracy thrillers? Burn It Down, but don't expect to rise from the ashes, with Blowout that came out in 1981, with JFK that came out in 1991. Now, I was going to go with the conversation instead of JFK, because it is one of my favorite films, and it would pair beautifully with the audio element. But this, of course, would also be an immensely sexual choice for me as well. As hot as that midsummer heat, middle-aged Gene Hackman is my celebrity crush of all crushes. He's my picture-perfect man, and one I try to model all my partners on. I don't always get it right. Unfortunately, we can't always get it right in life. There's only one Hackman, but, and not many can hold a candle to Hackman in his prime, I will say, so what, we go with what we got. But I'm perpetually looking for my hot ass Hackman. But in the meantime, and before I get all overly excited and ruin the whole thing, maybe think of this as a spiritual triple feature. For those even further inclined, Red Dawn would make an exceptional quadruple feature. It's a very formative movie for me, and of course, I got a pretty great story about it. So picture it. I'm 13. It's the day after 9/11. I'm sitting in 8th grade world history in the heart of Orange County, like the Bible Belt deep south brought to Southern California. We had a substitute this day, and for some reason, this happened to be the world history teacher of the local high school. The mascot of the high school, fittingly, the Wolverines. So, extra close to my heart. Um, Now, this world history sub and future world history high school teacher, he had a name that rhymed with St. Nicholas. He even had that red nose to boot, but he was anything but jolly, this man. And the rosacea unfortunately came from his desk flask that he thought he was a lot better at hiding than he was. And this man was pretty exceptional because he was a shell-shocked Vietnam vet who never served a day. That didn't stop him from being one of those military obsessed guys anyway, that like reminisced on like if I was there type of bullshit. Even though having met this guy, it's like he would have been face down in the muck immediately stepping off the Black Hawk. Okay. Like maybe even due to friendly fire. Because I'm telling you right now, trust me, no one was gonna serve even a minute in some jungle trench with this asshole. He was also naturally conspiracy obsessed. And you know what? I almost feel bad for him because he died right before the conspiracy right hit their height. And he would have been so in now, he would have been so in vogue, so chic for the conspiracy right. And it's like, man, always a swing and a miss on the glory for that guy, you know? But yeah, so needless to say, on this particular day, the day after 9/11, need I remind you, he was in an absolute state. I mean, he was sighing very loudly, he was unable to sit down except to take a few, like, secret sips from the desk flask, and he decided that he needed to prepare us for the coming invasion. No, he said he didn't want to scare anyone, but we needed to hear it because this was imminent. He had it on good authority from his contacts online. All of our parents would be dead. Civilized political infrastructure would be demolished. Nukes would make the major cities a wasteland. Only those prepped and ready would survive. The invaders, of course, would try to recruit and brainwash the boys as soldiers and force the women into forced servitude. He'd probably likely kill a few just to let us know they were serious about it. Gotta crack a few eggs in his story, I guess. They wanted to make sure that we knew they weren't joking. So a few, more than a few of you are probably gonna get shot. And the only chance that we had for survival was to develop the guerrilla tactics in what he was about to show us now. And so, to a terrified class and one thrilled little weirdo, he threw on Red Dawn. I had seen Red Dawn. I even wore like a headband as seen on the boys in Red Dawn as a cool fashion aesthetic because like obviously I was super cool growing up. But the minute he pops it on, Likely his personal copy, because where the hell else did this fucking thing come from? I was like, okay, that's like kind of a weird build up, but fuck yeah, Red Dawn. Wolverines, man. All right. The rest of the class was not so cultured. Kids cried. One girl screamed, "Is this real?" And there was a vocal panic that spread through the class. And instead of like mollifying this now very riotous room, he instead doubled down. He paused the film and literally boomed. "Protest like they did at Kent State and get your fannies nailed to the wall." That's exactly how he fucking talked, too. So, of course, we watched the film in silence. Maybe some, let's be honest, likely all were traumatized that day, except for one thrilled little weirdo who grew up to be me. I remember thinking, I'm going to remember this moment for the rest of my life. And so far, I was right. The parents later complained, as they should have. I mean, it's like the guy was a conspiracy nut who peddled xenophobia during its height. And of course, he never got fired. But I do hope that all my classmates were able to go back and reassess Red Dawn after some time. They shouldn't hold the specific circumstance against it. Because it is a great one. If you don't want to get too deep and just have some fucking fun. John Milius. But getting into my double feature, Blowout, has a conspiracy akin to the Ted Kennedy scandal. So anyone not familiar, it's like senator in a car with a girl he shouldn't be with, goes in the water. Kennedy, of course, gets out, lets the girl drown, and fails to report the crime until he can get a situation room's opinion on it. So, in this scenario, in Blowout, however, Travolta's there to fuck it all up. Getting audio for his sleaze fest horror films, he happens to discover that this wasn't no simple blowout, but the tire was shot out. Cue the paranoia, the seediest underbellies, and the shadow class that utilizes all available to them to clean up their messes. John Lithgow. Ooh, Lithgow. He plays an exceptionally psychotic cleaner. Now, man, he is a man who not only takes pride in his work, but enjoys every minute of it. He relishes his career. And he's so fantastic and he's oh so scary. And it gives me a kick where it really shouldn't, but we'll keep that between you and I. So the film ends in fireworks, literally and figuratively, and has one of the most based, dirty, and mean endings that I've ever seen. I absolutely love this film. God bless one of our best, Brian De Palma. And JFK also comes with a personal experience for me. This is how I met my best friend. Two fun loving conspiracy nuts having the perfect meet cute. So we're sitting in a college class on the first day of our program, and our professor starts joking. There's these like girls in the front row, they're like analyzing the social media post, and he like jokes about the Zapruder film. And at the same time, we both repeat to the back and to the left, to the back and to the left. And we look at each other wide eyed and never looked away. From there, he introduced me to some like conspiracy writers that he was like tight with. And these guys were like some pretty big names in the field. Like one of them actually wrote one of the books that JFK took material from. And we would bug them and we would like email them questions. They even took a few phone calls with us and we were just like giggling like schoolgirls with glee. Our Friday nights usually consisted of putting on Coast to Coast and scaring ourselves silly doing deep dives. Oh gosh. And now we're mostly cryptozoology bros, but he's absolutely obsessed with JFK. In fact, he ended up moving back to Dallas and named his firstborn Kennedy after the assassination. So if you ever find yourself asking, what kind of a person would be friends with me? Well, this kind. And what I think makes JFK the film really great is that it gets into the procedural weeds of investigating something of this nature. And in the spirit, Oliver Stone spared no expense. He actually obtained the rights to use the actual Zapruder film in this film. And of course, he was dragged through the press, for spreading lies and untruths. But as any conspiracy nerd knows, this is when you're really onto something good. And the film, as well as the books that inspired the film, indict everyone from Vice President LBJ, the CIA, the mobs, Secret Service, the FBI, and of course, the military industrial complex. While it may be a universally accepted truth now that Kennedy had built up some pretty impressive ops, and there was definitely something going on, it took a while to get there. Surely it makes sense now that, his interest in pulling out of Vietnam, his hesitancy to invade Cuba, and his brother's crackdown on mob dealings would anger plenty of folks. And of course, it's not ideology that would unite this shadow class, but money. There are plenty of people who had lost or were about to lose a whole lot of cash, a boatload of cash, based on his decisions overseas and at home. Ultimately, Costner loses the case, but he wins the hearts and minds. He wins at the end, really, in the long run. It's a much happier ending than that blowout. And look, I get this one's long, especially the director's cut, but grow up. It's great. Train your fucking attention spans to be better, simpletons, okay? If you need to be shamed into it, then be shamed into it. It's a great film, okay? And even if you're like, okay, I can't watch all of these, because I need to look at my phone, at least just watch this one. Try to put the phone away for a little bit, I don't know. If just hide it in a couch cushion. I don't know. Do what you need to do. But give this one a watch at least. Give them all a watch, okay? How dare you? Why would you watch that? You know what? Why? Okay. You know what? I'm gonna gonna close it out before I start getting angry and upset. See, I thought Gene Hackman would get me overexcited, but for some reason this is doing it. America the Beautiful, sold as a country for the everyman, but led by a ruthless, murdering, money-obsessed ruling class. They'll do whatever it takes to retain their power, and if they can get the president, what makes you think they can't get you? They craft their conspiracies and tout their ideologies to keep us crabs in a bucket. Even if you manage to escape, you'll end up deep fried and served to them on a silver platter. God shed his grace on thee. Happy 4th of July, everyone.